Because SMART is for financial goals and for decision making. So we'll apply it to decision making, helping you guys structure your choices to be more specific, realistic, and effective. And I promise I could probably come up with another way that SMART work is going, or SMART work is gonna have it again, that you guys need to learn about, but there's many ways we can use SMART. So, we already know SMART stands for specific, measurable, achievable, and relevant, right? Also time bound. Now, when it comes to specific, the decision should be clearly defined and focused on a particular outcome. What specifically is a decision that I need to hear? Measurable, ensure that this decision has measurable goals or milestones to track your progress, okay? Now, when it comes to achievable, you want to make sure that this decision is realistic and attainable for you, because you know what you are capable of. And when you're coming up with these decisions that you, when you're brainstorming these decisions, make sure you're being realistic with yourself. Is this a decision or a process that you came up for someone else or for you? Now, when it's relevant, you want to ensure that the decision aligns with the broader goals or values, but also when it's time bound, you want to set those deadlines for making the decision and implementing the solution. If you're saying the decision needs to be made by tomorrow, make sure everything lines up so that you can actually make that decision by tomorrow, okay? Now, application for this framework ensures that decisions are well thought out, practical, and aligned with larger objectives, reducing the chance of making poor choices. Now, critical thinking and decision making. Now, critical thinking plays a role in making sound decisions by analyzing information carefully and by analyzing information carefully and considering different perspectives, we can improve our decision-making process and find better solutions to problems. The role of critical thinking in problem solving. Critical thinking involves objectively analyzing and evaluating information to form a judgment. It's essential in decision-making as it helps filter our irrelevant details, recognize biases, and assess different viewpoints. Another way that critical thinking and decision making happens is with logical reasoning in decision making. Logical reasoning is a process of using structured reasoned arguments to make a decision. If it's logical, that means it makes sense, right? You have to see what makes sense, not just in general, but to you. Because I'm only speaking about what it means to you personally, right? Now, using logic can help you eliminate your emotions and your biases that can maybe cloud your judgment. So when you're being logical, yes, your friend may have been the person you want to lean towards, but logically, is that what you should do, right? Should you go with what your friend's saying, or should you go with what the expert's saying? Yes, ma'am.
Can I just give you an example? All right, my twin sister, one time she had money that she wanted to use for Wi-Fi, but she needed food in the house. And then she wanted me to give her my money for the food, and that didn't make sense. Where's the logic in that? Just use your money for the food and get the Wi-Fi another time.
Exactly. That is a very good example.
Thank you.
Okay, absolutely. If my sister couldn't make that decision on her own, I'm gonna help her out, okay? I'm gonna tell her exactly what you said. If
She
you
cut me off after that.
Yeah, but now, okay, just like we said, sometimes when we think our friend or the person we're closest to is the best person to be around, now we find out sometimes the process of elimination kind of works on its own, right? Now she cut you off, but you didn't really need that around you right now, right? Not that type of thing. So maybe eventually, hopefully, because it's family, you guys will rekindle on that. Okay, well, but in most cases, I would say, if the process of elimination happens where that person has shown that that's not who you need in your circle, let that happen, okay? Because you don't need that type of thinking around you where you gotta think for them, okay? So, hopefully that was an example you guys can resonate with, because I know we definitely had that person around us who just needed a little help with how they think, right? They're not doing any critical thinking. And then to allow someone to know that you're not doing that critical thinking and try to add me into that to get my money, absolutely not. So, hopefully we can, since we are in this room and we're in all these rooms classrooms getting this information from this workshop, we will be thinking a little bit more logically. Okay? Now, when it comes to improving critical thinking skills, you want to practice questioning assumptions, seek evidence and evaluating conclusions, engage in activities that challenge your reasoning abilities, such as puzzles, debates, or discussing complex issues. Now, one thing I will say, don't debate with people that are crazy. Okay? Don't debate with someone that you know, it's like, when they say, if you argue with a crazy person, then you become crazy. Don't they say that? So make sure you're picking who you're debating with. It should be someone who either has, a great viewpoint or is basing their viewpoint off of facts. Okay? Don't just go into arguments with people who don't know anything about what they're talking about. Okay? You will be very upset at the end of that conversation. But definitely test yourself, because there's so many ways to improve your critical thinking skills. I know I gave you ways to improve how you think creatively, but definitely look into ways to enhance your critical thinking skills. Now, one of the most important parts of this workshop that I'm giving you guys today is about emotional intelligence. Many people that you see in this program, in your life, in professional experiences, don't have emotional intelligence, okay? And this is just a problem that many people have because no one is seeking to understand themselves, right? Now, emotional intelligence is crucial when problem solving. It helps manage emotions, empathize with others, and make thoughtful decisions, especially in challenging situations. So, emotional intelligence and decision making. Emotional intelligence, or EQ, refers to the ability to recognize, understand, and manage your own emotions, okay? And to empathize with others also. Now, once you recognize your own, it makes it easier for you to understand where other people are coming from. Okay, if you can't recognize why you're always angry, why you're always upset, then you are not going to understand or be able to reason with someone else who's always upset or angry, okay, or relate to them at all. Now, EQ improves a high EQ, or emotional intelligence, improves decision making by allowing better communication, empathy, and stress management. You are not going to be so stressed out when working with someone who doesn't have, or who's always angry, because you understand where they're coming from. You understand they may not have that emotional intelligence, so you're not going to allow that to affect you, okay? But if you're someone who hasn't tapped into your own emotional intelligence, every day you come to work, you may be triggered by that person, okay? And we talked about triggers before. Triggers are not on someone else to make sure they tiptoe around you and don't, tick you off. It is up to you to know what triggers you, so that you don't allow it to affect you while you're at work or when you're having in your personal life. Now, managing emotions and problem solving in the problem solving process. You want to stay aware of emotional triggers and take steps to manage stress or anxiety that may cloud your decision making. Maintain a calm, clear perspective when making decisions, especially in high pressure situations. Empathy in decision making is understanding others' perspectives and can provide new insights and guide better decision making in group settings. So as I said, emotional intelligence is really for you, but once you get your emotional intelligence down pat, you know what really triggers you, what can affect your own emotions, going through life is going to be a breeze. Because you're going to see where you have to control your emotions and where others are not. So it's not going to trigger you the same. It's like you open your eyes to new perspectives, okay? So if you're someone who doesn't necessarily know all your triggers, doesn't necessarily have that high emotional intelligence, that is something I want you guys to look up. I want you guys to work on that. I tell you that I have been writing a book. My book also touches on emotional intelligence, because sometimes we carry, it's like you carry grudges when you don't have emotional intelligence. And that grudge can last 20, 30 years, and it's hindering you from being better in life, and you don't even have an idea, okay? So it is on you to know what triggers you, know your emotional intelligence, and better that emotional intelligence, okay? I'm gonna stop talking about my book, because I'm gonna give it to y'all one day. Now, overcoming barriers in problem solving. So problem solving can be challenging, especially when we face mental blocks or uncertainty. In this section, we'll explore common barriers and how to overcome them to find effective solutions. So number one, we want to identify those mental blocks. Mental blocks are common in problem solving, including fear of failure, that perfectionism. All of these things are mental blocks, the things that really stop you from getting to whatever it is that you want to do. Okay? If you think I can't do this perfectly, you may not start with it at all. If you know you're not going to do it better than the person you see next to you, you may not start it at all. But the fear of failing or not being able to complete whatever you're setting out to do may also stop you from ever trying it in the first place. And I don't want you guys to be stuck in anything. Now, we talked yesterday about habits also with our app, Dominica, that is going to give us a game to recognize our habits. It's important to know the habits that you have, whether they are good or bad, because they could be hindering you or they could be helping you. And if you aren't aware of them, then you're not utilizing them correctly. Okay? Now, to overcome these, practice reframing problems, seeking input from others, and focusing on solutions rather than obstacles. If you need some help and you know someone that has that emotional intelligence, reach out to them. See how they stay so calm. See how they stay within their own energy. Ask them the questions that you want to ask yourself, but you may not have those answers. Okay? It's okay to ask other people, especially the ones that you know you can learn something from. Okay? Now, to continue overcoming our barriers, we can handle uncertainty and problem solving. Problem solving often involves unknowns and unpredictability. Stay flexible by concentrating on the process and being open to more than one possible solution. I always tell you guys to be flexible. For one, because we know obstacles kind of pop up from wherever they come from. And you want to be able to adjust yourself so that it doesn't knock you off the course, as I say. But when it comes to problem solving, when those uncertainties happen too, just be willing to work through them. Don't wait for that uncertainty to come and now you're just like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have done this in the first place. You set out to do it for a reason, and don't forget your reason why, okay? Now, persistence in finding solutions also is a way to overcome your barriers. Persistence is key. If you want to solve any difficult problems, continuously testing these solutions continuously test the solutions, repeat, and then refine those ideas. So whatever you thought would work may not necessarily work the way you want it to, but you have to be able, again, with flexibility, to adjust yourself and maybe try it again, and try it in a different way. So, some key takeaways I want you guys to walk away from this workshop with are, number one, creative problem solving. As we have on our worksheets, there are 8 different ways to make sure you guys are thinking creative. Using techniques like brainstorming, mind mapping, it all helps you uncover innovative solutions to challenges. Come up with your own way to do things, because I promise you, you'll feel more comfortable that you came up with it versus doing something that someone else did. Okay? Now, informed decision making. Weigh out those pros and cons. What's best for me? What doesn't really work for me? It does ensure that decisions are thoughtful and based on clear outcomes. Now, critical thinking helps you analyze information objectively and make more reasoned decisions. But our big one is emotional intelligence. It allows you to manage those emotions and make better decisions, especially in difficult situations. Your emotions need to be intact, okay? Especially if you're trying to make decisions or solve problems. The problem is already a negative in the first place. So your emotions need to be intact so that you can work through any type of problem, all right? If you're unstable emotionally already, there's not much you can get through, okay? Let's be honest. Now, lastly, overcoming those barriers, we want to be able to identify and overcome those obstacles, helping you approach problems with persistence and creativity. So, in closing, I always give you guys a quote. Mr. Peter Drucker says, the best way to predict the future is to create. So, thinking creatively is on your paper. Read those 8 different ways to be creative, and I promise you, you're gonna pick one that you like and you're gonna stick with it. Okay, there's many good ones on that sheet I gave you. Does anyone have any questions? Are y'all going to go back to this workshop? Okay, well, go enjoy your day. Anyone in the other room, if you have any questions, please come see me or record.
For nothing.